Hi Gemini, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nina and today we are doing your March 2020 predictions. Keep in mind that this is a general reading, so it might not apply to everyone, and that's okay. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest that doesn't. I hope that you gain some sort of insight out of this. If you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at sinfulpluto.com. If you want to find me on social media, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at sinfulpluto. And anything that you need, if you want to see what decks I'm using, I'll be linking them down below. Anything like that, any other important information will be linked down below, will be stated out in the description. And yeah, this is going to apply to Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. And let's go ahead and get started. Oh, like the video, share, subscribe, comment down below. Hit the bell notification to know when I upload my videos, and let's get started. So the card that I pulled for you, Gemini, is Jump In, Andromedan Energy, Adventure, Say Yes to Change. So this to me kind of feels like the Fool card in tarot. So it seems that the overall energy of the month for you, Gemini, is actually like pretty positive. Like, I mean, the overall energy of the month for you just seems very adventurous. It seems very exciting, and you are definitely being pushed to go out of your comfort zone in some sort of way, to be open to adventure, to be open to change, to be open to anything that is like stimulating. Oh, this is like an eye. That's crazy. It's an eye. That's so interesting. That's so cool. But it seems as though that you might need to take some sort of a leap of faith, or like just dive into something head first. Again, don't like just do this blindly without any sort of like sense of insight. But I feel that this month is kind of a time for you to just like be adventurous, to allow yourself to let loose in whatever way. Maybe you've been having a hard time recently, and so March is kind of giving you a little bit of a breath of fresh air, which is really great, and that's really beautiful. If there's any sort of risk that you fear taking, maybe like you're scared of like applying to a certain job, or applying to a school or whatever it is, I think that March is kind of saying how you don't really have to be afraid to take that risk, to allow yourself to take that leap of faith and see where it takes you, to trust in the universe and trust that you are very protected. Okay. Maybe embark on new projects or adventures that you are not necessarily accustomed to. Be open to doing things, like I said, that are outside of your comfort zone. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's see. Spirit, what's going on for Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus in the month of March 2020? Spirit, what's going on for Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus in the month of March 2020? Oh, that was way too many cards, girl. What's going on for Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus in March 2020? Okay, cool. Yo, that's crazy. I got the Fool card at the bottom. Holy shit, bro. It's like, I'm psychic. My mind. Let me stop. All right, we have the Seven of Cups reversed. We have the Seven of Cups reversed. We have the Fool. We have the Hermit reversed. Wow, a lot of our major arcana here. We have the Hanged Man. Okay. We have the Five of Pentacles. Strength, Leo energy. Bottom of the deck is the King of Cups reversed. So this could be you. King of Cups reversed at the bottom of the deck and as the overall energy. This basically talks about someone who has poor emotional regulation. Either this person is very emotionally unavailable in some way, or they act that like they don't care. They act very indifferent. They act aloof. There's just some sort of blockage with this person. Like when it comes to interacting with this person, it just feels like there's just a block, like there's just a wall. I don't know if this is you. Maybe you have been acting very indifferent. Maybe you have been kind of like, I don't know, like acting a certain way when it comes to other people, or when it comes to life. It could also be because I have the Ace of Wands reversed at the bottom of the deck as well. That was right under it. With the King of Cups reversed and the Ace of Wands reversed, it seems as though you have been like pretty aloof or indifferent to like opportunities that have been presented to you. Or it's almost as though like the fire within you has kind of dissipated and you kind of just grown like, I don't want to say that you've grown a cold heart, but you're just kind of like over everything for some reason. Why is that? It's like, you know, you lost a sense of passion, you lost a sense of excitement. Maybe you feel as though you're living a very monotonous life, but it's so weird. It's almost as though you're not being emotionally receptive to things, which is interesting. So to start off, Gemini, it seems as though you have been isolating yourself, or too much isolation from you with this Hermit reverse. This is Virgo energy. It seems as though you have really just been like locking yourself in, you're not going out a lot. Maybe you've been on social media far too much, you know, just like not like doing anything to really stimulate your mind. It just seems as though like you're trying to grow numb for some reason. I kind of just see you like in bed in the dark, like not really doing anything, not wanting to go out. It's kind of just like being a little bit of a vampire in terms of like light. It's almost like you don't want to be in the light, like you don't want to be outside, you don't want to take a breath of fresh air. It just seems, I don't know, it just seems very like reclusive, but it's to a very extreme point. It's like you don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want to talk to anyone in the outside world, which is really interesting. And we have the Five of Pentacles, so maybe you have been feeling bad for yourself in some way, like a lot of taking like kind of like wallowing in your own misery, and like kind of just like self-pity sort of energy. And it seems as though it feels like you feel stuck in some sort of way, or you're just focusing on all of the things that are going wrong, or you feel like, or you're focusing on all of your problems and focusing on how like the world is ending for you, and like this is so bad and that is so terrible and this and that, and kind of just like focusing on all of the negative, but you're not finding any sort of way to like solve the issue. You're not thinking of any sort of solutions. It's just like it's almost as though you feel more comfortable in just being really pessimistic and kind of thinking of how everything is going wrong, but not taking the time to be innovative and to find ways to solve whatever issues you might be experiencing. And it seems as though like the solutions are right in front of you. Like there is help right in front of you. There is assistance right next to you. But it just seems as though you don't see them because you're so focused on everything that's going wrong that you don't see the help. You don't see the helping hand that is literally in front of you, is what it seems like. And it could be that some of you, for some reason, are refusing to ask for help or to ask for assistance or to ask for advice. Maybe it's because out of pride or embarrassment for whatever reason. But it just seems as though like there's just an issue of like focusing so much on problems and not going out of your way to find solutions. It's just like praying like, I hope to God like things will get better, but just like not taking any sort of action is what it seems like. So if that is the case for you, also the Five of Pentacles just talks about isolation, right? And with the Hermit reverse, this talks about way too much isolation. Maybe you're not happy with that circumstance. Maybe you don't like the fact that you aren't going out anymore. But you know, I guess the question is, have you been making the effort to go out more, to make friends, to do this, to do that, you know, to push yourself out of your comfort zone? Have you been doing that, or have you just been comfortable and wallowing in your own misery? And this isn't like a jab at you, but that's, you know, that's just kind of what it seems here. And so with the Hanged Man, this suggests that you basically need to take on a new approach to things and to do things differently. There has to be a sense of like innovation. And I mean, Gemini, like you are ruled by Mercury. You are very innovative when you want to be. You know, you have a lot of ideas, you know, you are just very smart. You are very analytical. You know how to break things apart. And so it seems as though you have all the capabilities to do so. And so there are like solutions to the problem. There are solutions to whatever issues that you are experiencing. There just has to be a shift in mindset. There has to be a shift in attitude, rather than kind of viewing yourself as like this helpless powerless person who just blames everyone else, or like who believes that everyone else is to blame except yourself. And not to say that like you are to blame, but it's kind of like, you know, take accountability for yourself rather than just like blaming everyone else for whatever issues you might have. So there's that. So with the Hanged Man, this talks about like taking on some sort of like innovative sort of thing, doing something innovative, doing something different, doing something that shifts your mindset in some sort of way. Like there has to be a shift in attitude. There has to be a shift in the way in which you approach things. This basically talks about like doing something new, right? Like this talks newness, that sort of thing. And with the Strength card here, right, this talks about inner strength. It also talks about self-discipline and how you might need to hold yourself a lot more accountable for your actions and for yourself and for doing better for yourself and for solving whatever issues you might be experiencing. There has to be a lot of self-discipline because perhaps you have grown a little bit complacent or grown a little bit lazy in terms of your growth or in terms of bettering whatever situations you have, right? Whatever situations that you are experiencing. So that's what this talks about. This talks about how there might be a need for you to develop a stronger willpower and not kind of just like giving up whenever things immediately don't go your way, you know? Just because something didn't immediately fall into place the way that you wanted it doesn't mean that that plan won't work. It doesn't mean that you have to give up, you know, go back to the drawing board and do something different or tweak certain things so that that plan can work out at the end of the day. So keep that in mind here. And then also I feel that with the Strength card, this talks about vitality and it talks about like inner strength, right? So it tells me to build upon those things and to build a strong endurance when it comes to facing these situations. And then we have the Fool card here, right, which talks about taking a leap of faith, doing something new, going outside of your comfort zone. In this case, you know, your comfort zone might be isolation, you know, maybe too much isolation or too much solitude. So taking the leap of faith or doing like opening a new chapter in your life could be going out, talking to new people, reaching out to friends, taking on a new hobby, you know, taking art classes, taking dance classes, taking pottery making classes, whatever this is, maybe volunteering somewhere, maybe, I don't know, finding a new job, or I don't know, like whatever it is, or just finding a job in general, whatever this is, like open yourself up, be receptive to the opportunities that are presented to you, and go outside of your comfort zone. Leave behind the comfort zone, because even though it is comfortable and familiar, you might find yourself feeling a little bit more fulfilled by going on some sort of adventure. And I think that's ultimately what you need. That's what it seems that you need here, is an adventure, so that you can not only get out of the house, not only to get out of the house, but to also just like quit isolating yourself so much, but also just to like stimulate yourself. And I think by opening this new chapter in your life, by being open to adventure and doing new and fun things, you discover, it seems as though like you'll discover or finally see the solutions. Like you'll finally think of the solutions. Like you'll have a light bulb moment. You're like, oh shit, this is exactly what I can do to get myself out of this Five of Pentacles situation. That's kind of what it seems like, you know? And maybe with this Five of Pentacles here, maybe you have been feeling left out in some sort of way. Maybe you have been feeling like an outcast. But again, that kind of begs the question of, have you been putting effort to integrate yourself in some sort of way? Or have you kind of just like put in the bare minimum and you're like, oh, well, they're not being receptive, I'm just going to go back to watching Netflix. You know, is it that sort of thing? And then with the Seven of Cups reversed, this to me kind of talks about like an epiphany or a moment of clarity and knowing exactly what you have to do. And it seems as though your judgment will no longer be clouded by throughout the month by once you kind of go ahead and take on a new perspective and do things like with innovation and like that sort of thing. It seems as though any sort of clouds that have been looming over, any sort of like confusion that has been looming over will be cleared up once you kind of take a different mindset or a different take on a different attitude and start thinking of like innovative ways of doing something that is just like different or outside of the box, that sort of thing. So That's really what I have for you, Gemini. At the end of the day, or just the overall message that I have for you is, push yourself out of your comfort zone. There has to be, you gotta do something, like you gotta do something. No, I'm kidding. But yes, you do have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. There has to be a strong level of self-discipline on your end, okay? You can't expect people to just like be holding your hand throughout this entire thing, or like you can't expect people to just like approach you out of nowhere. Things don't always just fall into your lap. Sometimes you do have to put in work and effort on your part, and that's okay. And also kind of changing this whole attitude of being a very emotionally unavailable and indifferent, and even perhaps even having like poor emotional regulation, however way that might apply to you. You have to be receptive, because if you're not receptive, then you can only go so far. You can only help yourself so much. So by being receptive and by like going with the flow in terms of opening yourself up to these new ideas and to these new adventures and like finding innovation and all of this, like you help yourself in that way. So that's really what I have for you. And it seems as though it's definitely a wake-up call for you. With this Judgment card, it's definitely a wake-up call for you. And it seems as though, again, with this 5 of Cups here, like, you're crying over spilled milk, but there are 2 really great things. There are 2 cups here that are upright and they're fine, and they're just waiting for you to drink them, because I think these are like cups of coffee or whatever. That's so cute. But anyways, like that's kind of what it seems like. It's are you going to continue crying over spilled milk, or are you going to choose something differently, right? This is a major lesson. This is a major wake-up call, it seems, and it's entirely up to you whether you want to move forward or if you just want to continue moping around. So yes. I hope that was helpful for you, Gemini. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And with that being said, I will talk to you later.